when he probably never had anyone reject him.
That ties it to the house.
She wasn't shy about talking to people.
And we talked at the pool, and he was very friendly. We were all
convicted yet. So he was terrified because he had threatened her life on him.
So I want to talk about a tragic event that happened in Columbia, Ohio, in the home of Spencer and Monique Tepe. They were found unalived by the grace of the God. Their two children, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, were not harmed. The person that was accused of committing the crime was Monique Tepe's ex-husband,
Michael Mckee,
since 2017, and nothing reported that they had anything involved with one another because they never had children together. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. So what happened was Michael Mckee drove 300 miles from Chicago to commit this crime. At this time, there is no motive stated why he committed the crimes. Michael Mckee and his vehicle were seen in the area on cameras that were in the area. His car and him walking was showing an image of a person, which they believed to be him. He didn't have his phone turned on. He had another phone. They had come to conclusion that Michael Mckee was the one who unalived Monique and Spencer in their home.
We believe at this point we have the person responsible for the murder of Monique and Spencer Tepe in custody, and that person is Michael Mckee. And there is a preliminary link from our NIBIN to one of the weapons that ties it to the house.
So Michael Mckee was arrested on January 3rd, 2026 in Rockford, Illinois. His hearing was held in Winnebago County Court on 1/12/2026, and he had an executive court-ordered public defender, Carrie Poirier. His defender, Carrie, was appointed to handle the logistics and provide Michael Mckee of what was going on with his case and assure he was informed of his constitutional rights and other legal information needed for the hearing. So although Michael had several lawsuits pending against him regarding medical issues, and by the way, Michael Mckee is a very high-profile vascular surgeon, and he has other things, but we'll get back to Michael Mckee and who he is. With him having a large amount of money, unless they freeze his bank accounts, I don't know, nothing was stated that. He will most likely hire a good lawyer because he really is going to need one. In the court process, Michael Mckee was charged with aggravated premeditated offing, offing. I'm just going to use the word offing. The charge of aggravated premeditated offing does hold weight in Ohio for the possibility of the death penalty. Michael will be extradited back to Ohio to face charges and conviction and have his trial in Ohio. Okay, there was a lady that lived in the same building as Michael Mckee, and she spoke about the type of person that he was and a little bit about the scene at the building where he lived, which was a very nice building with a lot of professional, basically a lot of rich people that lived there. Retired rich people. The lady that speaks on it, her name is Geraldine Colerick, and she was retired. She was assignment editor for Channel 7, and she was a true crime author also. A little bit of what she had to say.
I met him really once. We really talked at the poolside, and that was during the summer, shortly after he moved in. And we talked at the pool, and he was very friendly. We were all barbecuing at that time. You don't know what is in a person's mind, what they're obsessing about, and what they're going through in their mind, and what causes them to react like this. And we would just say, hi, how are you? Hi. And that's it. We never really spoke after that. He was kind of a quiet person to himself. I used to work at Channel 7 in Chicago. I was assignment editor, and I said, what's happening over here? What's going on? The doorman says you wanted to talk with me. And they told me about what was happening. And when they said Mike Mckee, well, I don't know if I know him. Show me a picture. And then they showed me the picture, and I went, oh my gosh, I know him. He's one of my neighbors. He lives two stories above me in the building here. And I said, why? My goodness, it was unbelievable that this man who was he was just so nice. I saw a police officer sitting right in front of his door, guarding his place there. And I took a little video. I guess it's the newswoman in me. And I also took a picture of what his apartment looked like from the outside. And there were now investigators there. And I went to get my car in the garage, and there was an investigation van saying Crime Lab from Columbus. So that is something else that I videotaped right away. Oh, nothing struck me as being unusual. He was a business person coming in. We'd pass in the hallway. We'd be in the elevator, and I'd say hi, and he'd say hi. Law enforcement officials in and around the building over the next few days. Now, that is what alarmed a lot of residents.
We'll also listen to what Monique's brother-in-law said about Mckee.
Not convicted yet, so we're steadfast in making sure that all of these stones are unturned and that he's, he doesn't walk free again. She wasn't shy about talking to people about traumatic experiences that she had with her ex and just how emotionally abusive he was to her. He was terrified because he had threatened her life on multiple occasions when they were married.
I can't even say who. Who was Michael Mckee? And the reason I say who was Michael Mckee, because he was living in the past. So unfortunately, now he's brought up to the future, a future that he really does not want to be in because he made the wrong decision, but it is the future that he is in right now. The reason I say who he was is because he is no longer that person. He is not going to be referred as the vascular surgeon. They're not going to remember him that way. Maybe his friends will. He has made a choice to erase who he was because he was living in the past and could not get over the past. And that put him in a bad situation where he made a choice that was not very wise. In Philippians 3:13-14, it states, forgetting what lives behind and straining forward to what lies ahead. Press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus in the Bible. When you mess with the past, you can't go forth. For example, in Ephesians 4:26, it says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger and give the opportunity to the devil. So what he did was every single day he woke up and he went to sleep. And sometime in between all those times, he must have been dwelling and stalking Monique and her husband, probably looking at their pictures, if they had Facebook accounts, anything that she posted. He was probably constantly thinking about that should have been his life. And once you put yourself in a situation where you're so busy looking behind, it even states that in the Bible in Genesis 19:26. Lot's wife walked behind him and she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. Well, how about that? Sounds like he just turned into a pillar of salt because now he has no control over what his life is about to be. He can hire a lawyer, yes. But at this time, with the crime committed, with as much evidence as they have, There was even a weapon found, have known to believe the weapon used. I mean, who knows? I mean, he might have a really good lawyer, but right now he's a pillar of salt. That's what he is right now. He's a pillar of salt. So he just hardened himself by looking back at the past and taking that action and turning around and not going forth in the right direction. He had to look back. He had all the opportunity. He had everything he could have possibly wanted. For example, just like in the Bible, Adam and Eve, in Genesis 3:6, Eve decided she wanted to eat from the forbidden fruit. She was tempted and she felt that, wow, why am I not eating this? This is what I should have. I should not have anything less. I should have everything. Well, it was kind of like that way with Michael Mckee. He felt he should have had everything. All his entire life, everything was handed to him. So who was Michael Mckee? So Michael Mckee, he was he had everything he could have possibly wanted, but he did not know how to accept what he could not have. Michael Mckee grew up on a U.S. Army base, small city, hometown, Zanesville, east of Columbus. Mckee excelled in sports and in academics. When Michael was as young as the first grade, he had made himself known. He was in the paper for kids poster contest. He was honored by the Secretary of State Bob Teft in 1994. So he was very well known and liked as a young child. He didn't have no criminal history. He had a few traffic tickets in Franklin County. He had several licenses in different states. He was received medical license in Ohio in 2014 at age 28. Between 2014 and 2025, Malcolm Mckee held 3 other medical licenses in Virginia, Ohio, and Nevada. He married Monique in October 22nd, 2015. They divorced in May of 2017 and was initiated by Monique. Michael is a very highly profiled vascular surgeon, Dr. Mckee. He was also Department of Chair at the University of Arizona College of Medicine in Phoenix, recognized for research in trauma and upper extremity surgery. So he was a very successful person in life. Unfortunately, he never stopped being recognized. And he grew up on a military base. And you know what that tells me? From the very beginning, he had to always show perfection. Anyone knowing anyone in the military, it doesn't look good on you if your family makes mistakes or if your family has a bad name. So you have to look good. Everything you do, you're being watched. Your family's being watched by higher ranking military people. And you're in the military, you know who those are. I don't. I'm not in the military. He's probably never ever been rejected. With him being so popular in high school and college and everywhere he went, he probably never had anyone reject him. He could not get over being rejected. That's what it sounds like. I mean, I can't say for sure because I'm not him. So when Monique rejected him, he probably tried to let it go. But he probably kept saying to himself, how could this be? And then he felt, oh, she'll be miserable without me. And he probably really felt after she had kids that she was going to be miserable. He probably waited for this man to leave her. Michael probably felt that Spencer was not as good as he was because Spencer was a dentist. I mean, that's a pretty good career, but he wasn't Michael. Michael probably could not accept the fact that she would rather be with Spencer and have his children. She never had Michael's children. She'd rather spend time with him and be a stay-at-home mom and loving to him and provide a good, loving home to Spencer. And Michael didn't get that. Matter of fact, throughout the marriage, there by his brother-in-law's account, Michael threatened Monique, and he must have not had a very good home for Monique, or Monique would not have left. So now he's in a situation where he got rejected, couldn't let go of the past, turned into a pillar of salt, and who is he now? So he went from a vascular surgeon, high profile vascular surgeon living in a home, having everything that he probably wanted in life, to now committing a crime, which it did not resolve anything. No, he doesn't have her. He still doesn't have her. And he is now in prison and going to have to face some hard times. I worked in a prison before. He is not going to have it easy in there. The thing he did not do, which will probably save his life in prison, he did not hurt those little children. So he may have a hard time in there because prison's not easy. But due to him not harming those children, he may get a little bit of slack by other inmates. I'm talking about not by the courts, by other inmates. Because there's a lot of inmates in there who offed people, but a lot of them do not, even the ones that's off people, do not look good at those who harm children in any way, shape, or form. So anyway, Michael's going to go live in an environment that he's going to have a really hard time adjusting to because it is nasty. He will have the food that is not very good. And guess what? Say he tries to get stuff from the commissary. Well, unfortunately, if you do not have people there that have your back, all that stuff's going to be stole. Someone's going to take all that from him, and he may get beat up in the meantime if he doesn't give it to them. But everything that he thinks that you cannot just go to prison and just stay there and think no one's going to bother you. Even if you try to just stay in your cell, it does not work that way. Just for the record, he really made a bad choice, and I'm not making fun of him. I'm not laughing at him because I don't know what this man was thinking, but the choice that he made wasn't a wise choice. I'm not even sure what his main goal was, but he still didn't get the woman. He didn't get her. He didn't get Monique. She's probably in heaven having a better life than what he's going to have. So I do want to say, for those that are struggling with the past and struggling with constantly looking back and with the possibilities of turning into that pillar of salt that Lot's wife turned into in Genesis 19:26, this is some way that I can advise to give you on how do you fix not being content. You can have a cultivating heart of contentment and gratitude. Recognize God's supreme power and trust in his provision and timing. Hebrews 12:5 states, "Be content with what you have, because God said, I will not leave or forsake you." If you're not praying to God, that's something that you can do. And sometimes God does not answer prayers right away, but his timing is always on time. If you're praying with doubt, you may need to have somebody else pray for you that is not praying in doubt. If you are living in the past and dwelling on the past and don't know how to go forth, that can be considered a form of needing to seek professional help. And even though you may not want to, if you're watching this story, it is much easier to seek help, to pray, and to gain control over your future in a positive way than having to deal with it in the same way Mr. Mckee did, because that's not a good future for anyone. And remember, when life is lifing, keep on living. I'm out.